Well, it's time for space news. You'll be over the moon next week. Our friend astronomer Dean Regas is here to tell us why. But before we get to that, we were just talking about Roswell. You watched the eclipse from there, right?
Yeah, so there was an eclipse in October, an annular solar eclipse, and I went to Roswell, New Mexico to see it. So I saw it with all the alien lovers out there.
How
Did
fun.
not see a UFO, but I did see the eclipse, which was awesome.
Just as good, if you ask me. All right, speaking of eclipse, there is a partial lunar eclipse that is coming up. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. So on Tuesday night, we're going to have a little smidgen of the moon blocked out by the shadow of the Earth. So a teeny tiny little lunar eclipse. Now, this is not going to be as mind-blowing as the solar eclipse back in April, but it is going to be pretty cool. Tuesday night, about 10:15 to 11:15 at night, you'll see a little sliver of the top part of the moon in shadow. So it's a pretty good time of night to see it.
Okay, this may be an ignorant question, but I'm going to ask it because there might be some other people out there thinking it. Do we have to wear the glasses?
No, no.
It's
So
at
this
night?
is all at night. So you just look at the moon.
Because obviously it's the sun's rays that you do want to avoid. But I just didn't know maybe if there was something about the eclipse with the moon that you might need to avoid.
Absolutely. This is one of those things where you don't really need a telescope or binoculars to see. No protection needed. Just get out there and watch it. My favorite part is right when it starts. So right at like 10:15, you'll start to see this little shadow, this little dark part on the upper part of the moon. And it only lasts about an hour altogether, but still probably it's going to be one of the best things to see the rest of the year.
And give us again the good time.
So Tuesday night, about 10:12 is when it starts to about 11:15. It's visible all around the world. I'm going to be doing a live webcast for this, so that'll be through my Facebook page. I'm going to be out in the Grand Canyon actually during that time doing astronomy with them. So we'll have a telescope set up and film the whole thing. Should be fun.
So that will give people a really great look, because around here sometimes with the lights from the city, it's kind of hard unless you get really rural. To be able to see some of that stuff, but you'll be in the Grand Canyon.
Yes, and this is going to be a really bright moon also, so it's going to be one of the closer moons of the year, so it's going to be really bright, and so seeing that detail of that dark shadow, that dark curve coming across the moon, it's going to be dramatic.
And your website is AstroDean, right?
AstroDean.com, that's right, check that out.
That's where people will be able to see the webcast that you're doing?
Yes, they'll be going through my Facebook page, so we'll start about 10 o'clock, it'll be 7 o'clock in Arizona time, but should be a lot of fun.
Great. All right, there's been a lot of talk lately about the spacewalk. There's been 2 private astronauts that have gone out on a spacewalk. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so SpaceX launched a mission just a few days ago. This was the one that maybe some people saw in the middle of the morning. Like you can see the rocket. That was the leftover rocket from that mission. So I
saw a lot of people on Facebook or social media saying that they could actually see it.
Yeah. And so that was one that launched just a couple days ago, and now this is the first private spacewalk. Although it looks more like, I think they were saying it looks like a private space stand. They didn't really walk very far, but still, it was pretty cool that they were able to do this, to go out in the vacuum of space, and totally privately funded. And so this really opens up some ideas for future.
And this was, I cannot remember his name, the billionaire that was able to do this, right? And there were a couple things that they were kind of concerned about. The space suits, right, had not been actually tested.
Right. So these are these are new design of space suits, new design of a rocket, and so this is the thing is you got to depressurize the thing, and there's 4 crewmates there. And then you gotta cross your fingers and hope the air comes back in afterwards. But this is it was a really pretty cool event to see.
That one shot we saw, he got pretty far out there. Yeah,
and this mission is not just like like when they launched William Shatner up and back down. This is actually like a 5-day mission. They went the farthest from the Earth for a long time, and so this was a pretty extensive mission.
The final frontier.
That's right.
We're getting closer to that. Okay, so speaking of being up in space, we have the astronauts that are still stranded up there. What's the latest on that?
Oh man, I mean, that's a story that I think a lot of people are following, is that these 2 astronauts went up in space for a 8-day mission. They had some problems with the craft and now are stuck. And they're not stuck in the little craft, they're stuck in the big space station. So they're there, there's 9 people total in the space station now, which is a little crowded, but not too bad. And their ride back home isn't gonna come until next year. So instead of an 8-day trip, they're now stuck for 8 months. So I don't know if that's a good thing, bad thing. I try to put myself in their position, be like, well, I'm in space, I might as well, But 8 months, that's a long time to be up there. But still, what a great view. I don't know if they're hating it so much. I think they probably are enjoying it quite a bit.
But when you have astronauts that you think are going to be there, and I don't know how it all works, like, because there are other people that are on the craft that they're on, right?
Right.
Do they have a specific amount of food they now have to kind of ration? Because it's not like you can just call Uber Eats and have something delivered. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. Yeah. So food and water, definitely not a problem. Air is not a problem. They have plenty for that number of people. But you do bring up a kind of interesting point. It's like you have these two guests. They better be on their best behavior. You got to get along with this crew in a very small, tight environment. But pretty soon, another craft is going to come up, and 4 of them are going to go down. But the 2 that came up last, they're going to stay all the way till next year.
Oh, they have to stay.
So they have to stay because they just got there. So if
last one's in, last one's out.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much always for talking to us
Thank you.
And again, if people want to find more information about you, watch your. Do you have any other events coming up?
Yeah, actually, Saturday night is International Observe the Moon Night. We're going to be setting up telescopes at the Marymount Library. So come on out there on Saturday night. Weather's looking pretty good, I think. And then, look for me doing the live webcast on Tuesday for the eclipse.
AstroDean.com. And on Facebook, it's AstroDean too, right?
On Facebook, I don't know what it is. Just Dean Regas.
Just look Dean Regas.
Yeah, you'll find me.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you. And have fun out in the Grand Canyon.
Thank you.
You can always get local stories right here on YouTube, but go ahead and hit that subscribe button to get notifications to stay in the know.